If the YouTube algorithm does to you what it did to me, then you might have to pay a $42,000 fine and go to jail. Better stay tuned. This is your Geek Fix. So this isn't a normal video for our channel. Normally we build elaborate working props and talk about everything from anime to gaming and prop collecting with the people that make and love it. But we're also YouTubers, and over the past year I've had some things happen that I've really wanted to talk about, but because it's been an ongoing process, haven't really had something that I could talk about with some level of closure. Then last week everything exploded with people talking about the YouTube algorithm and the ways in which their videos are being unfairly or unequally targeted. And I decided maybe it's time for me to talk about my story, because I think that what I've learned is only going to get worse and bigger and, as weird as it might sound, more powerful. But before I can tell you my story, first there's a couple things you need to know about. A lot of this has to do with advertising because the YouTube algorithm and their standards are really driven by advertising. And that's even true if you don't monetize your videos. You see, a few years ago, a few things happened. First, advertisers complained that their ads were being played on videos that had content that was questionable or unsuitable. So YouTube placed that responsibility on their content creators to identify and rate their content on its content. Yeah, you know what I mean. Does your video have inappropriate language, adult content, violence, shocking content, harmful or dangerous acts, recreational drug content, enabling dishonest behavior, hateful or derogatory content, firearm-related content, sensitive events, controversial issues? You can go in and rate just how much or how bad it is and submit it for ads. This doesn't prevent you from getting ads or monetizing your videos, but it does affect which ads are played and who pays for them. However, failure to accurately disclose what's in your videos could result in your videos being demonetized and in certain cases, having your channel taken down. Furthermore, if you intentionally didn't disclose what was in your video or did so for a malicious reason, you could get sued. So rate your videos carefully. At the same time, this isn't something that you have to do if your video is not monetized. However, YouTube's community guidelines require you must still age restrict videos if there is violence, disturbing imagery, nudity, sexually suggestive content, or portrayal of dangerous activities. This will restrict access to your videos in certain countries, limit monetization, and again, if the videos are not correctly identified, could result in your channel being affected. And then Google had to pay $136 million to the FTC and $34 million to New York State for violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. So in this case, we're still talking about advertising, but about the ways in which children's private information is being used without consent to target advertisements for children, as well as the inappropriateness of content children had access to. In turn, YouTube put that responsibility on the creators to determine themselves whether or not their videos would violate COPPA if they were made for children or contain children, and correctly labeled if they aren't made for children. Of course, videos made for children can't use live chat, they can't have comments enabled, and monetization would be reduced by up to 90%. That's saying that they're allowed at all. And here's where things get complicated. If your video is marked as for children and it's not COPPA compliant, you could receive a fine of $42,530. And if your video is found to also be pushing a product or exploitive, which broadly includes just talking about a product, and if you used an attractive thumbnail, you could serve jail time. Similarly, if you identified a video as not being made for children, and yet it is determined to be targeting children in some way, the FTC could still fine you. So generally, it would make sense that you would want to mark your video as not being made for children, because that would protect you from the whole COPPA Act, plus it would allow you to have live chat, comments, and full monetization. And this is where our story begins. Last year, I interviewed an animator friend of mine about how to become an animator and tips and tricks for animating. We even decided to make it a premiere event so she could answer questions in live chat, and people that couldn't attend could ask questions in advance in the comments. And we invited everyone through social media to come and participate. I even made an ad for the premiere, and there's a lot of people that turned on the reminder so that they would be there. And then the day of the actual event, I went in that morning and found that live chat as well as comments were turned off. They were gone. And there was even some comment that it wasn't eligible to have live chat or comments. So of course I was a little stressed out because there was a lot of planning that went into this. People were planning on being there. And this is actually one of the first areas where YouTube really came through for me. And I'm going to tell you right now in advance that this isn't a video just about the ways in which YouTube did something weird to me. On the flip side, it's about the fact that people really tried. Like, I had people really putting in effort. I know that last week there was a lot of comments about the fact that the individuals involved contacted their agents or their representatives, and of course we don't have that. We're just a small channel. So I just contacted the standard support that everyone would have access to, and I was able to chat with an agent who tried several times to see what they could do to turn things back on, and they would email me, and I'd email back, and then we'd get back into a chat together, or they'd call me. That was also a big surprise, that we actually talked on the phone. And in the end, they said that the problem was when the video was submitted and it went through all of its checks, there were some errors in the checks, and he felt like the best way that I could go would be, and the only way that I could go, would be to delete the video and then repost it. And of course that didn't seem like a great idea, because if I did that, that meant that nobody that was already planning on attending, or that would come in through other social media that had the links, would be able to easily find it. So we'd be losing part of our audience. But in the end, it was the only option, and I was running out of time. So that's what I did. I deleted the video, I re-uploaded it. Sure enough, a live chat was available again, comments was available again. We sent out all sorts of links to make sure that everybody knew that the video was now in a different spot, but the same event was going to take place. Introduction-wise, we've got India joining us. So the video starts, and everything's going pretty well for about maybe, I think, the first 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden, live chat becomes disabled. Completely gone. It says the video doesn't qualify for live chat. But this time, the comment section is still active. So we just switched things to the comment section. I had people ask questions in the comments. She would respond in the comments. It was going okay. So we continued with things. It was still working out, not quite the way I'd hoped, but at least we were still, having a conversation and able to actively talk about this video. And then comments got disabled. Just gone. It was gone. At this point, I have two representatives from YouTube. One's on the phone, one is in live chat. I'm trying to ask them different questions. I got one that's going through and looking at things one way, another one that's doing things another way. I mean, again, they really put a lot of effort into trying to help me. I feel like they did everything that they could, and that they had a certain amount of power to do so. But there came to be a point where they said, look, this is something we're not going to be able to resolve. We're sorry. We're going to hand it over to this other team. They're going to have to review it, and then we'll try and figure out what's going on and go from there. And then the next day, I got an email saying,
upon further review, your live chat is actually working as intended.
Okay.
As part of our broader efforts to prevent abuse in YouTube, we are strengthening enforcement of YouTube's policies related to child safety. In order to protect minors on YouTube, content that doesn't violate our policies, but features children or minors, may have some features disabled. This includes comments, live chat, and live chat replay. And this is what happened to this specific video.
And it said this action is unrelated to your audience settings. So, in other words, it didn't matter that I had selected that it wasn't for children. The algorithm went through, it scanned it, and YouTube determined that it was made for children, and therefore it was switched to that setting. If you're wondering what exactly was it that YouTube found in my video that was considered minors or children, well, it was these guys. Yeah, that's right, the Willoughbys. Basically, YouTube went through and said, yeah, I think that's what human kids look like, and changed the setting to made for children. This was regardless of other content on the video, which included talking about bunnies basically murdering each other and showing graphic details from clips and language.
Don't worry about it being crap, it doesn't have to. Oh, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, that wasn't really a swear, but sure.
I don't know. I'm never sure.
It is according to COPPA when it's child content, so now here I am in this spot where I can't change the setting of my video or the consideration by YouTube that it's made for children. I've lost the chat that we had and all the information of people's questions that they asked. I've lost the comments. In fact, her father actually watched the video later on and ended up having to make a comment on a different video. If it had been monetized, it would have been demonetized, and now I'm running into all these other stressors. I mean, it was actually stressing me out. I was thinking of all these different things. I mean, can I get a COPPA fine if I leave that video up? Will it be considered as having some kind of malicious intent? We did a giveaway on that video as well, and some other things that wouldn't be okay if it's a video made for children. Am I going to go to jail? Now, since that time, a lot of other things have happened, actually. So I did contest it, and when I contested it, they sent me another email saying the same thing. Then I talked to them again about it, and then they turned everything back on so I could see comments again. Then the YouTube algorithm turned it back off and switched it back over to child. Back and forth, back and forth. It's been a year. It's been a year, and as of today, actually the other day, I was able to turn comments back on. I noticed that my status, I was able to change the status. The only thing I couldn't access was the previous live recording. And right now they're actually reviewing the case again because according to the agent that I spoke to the other day, there's a chance that they actually never resolved things. They never actually went through and completed the case. And hopefully that doesn't mean that they go through and decide something even worse, or that the video gets deleted anyways or something like that, or a strike. Now, put your minds at rest, as it did mine after a lot of research. The truth is, even if you do get a COPPA violation and they were to fine you, they're fining you based on the amount of income that you made through revenue from the video. So if it's not monetized, no big deal. If it was monetized, let's say it was even $1,000, you're not going to be paying very much of that $1,000. The $24,000 has to relate to kind of the cap, the most that they'll charge you per video, or could charge you per video. As far as the jail time thing, well, that really comes down to the state, and they really have to prove that you have true, real intent to try and mislead children or covert manipulation to purchase things that are outside what the law allows. So I'm not too worried at this point in time. I don't want the video getting taken down. I don't want to get a strike for it, but on the flip side, I feel like there's a reason for me to keep it up. I mean, this video actually meant a lot. There was time and effort that went into it. So I'd hate to take that down. I don't want to delete it. I don't want to make it not available because it's still good information. It shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this hard. And I think that the big thing to take from this is that the cause of all these problems that people have been complaining about, the big problem that's really happening is that YouTube has handed over too much power and control to the algorithm. It's about like they basically created this Skynet situation where out of good intentions, they've handed over all of this control and power to the AI to be able to make decisions. And even when there's human interaction and those individuals go in and make attempts to make a change, they don't have any ability to maintain it because in the end, the algorithm just comes back and changes it right back. There's nothing that the people can do right now that has any type of permanency to it. And there's too many variables. There's too many things that the algorithm can't figure out by itself. And this is a problem. Even just recently, YouTube Shorts caused a lot of problems for a lot of people. And in case you're not aware of this, one thing that's been happening is that when YouTube Shorts started, the algorithm didn't know how to interpret the watch time, what people were doing when they would go to YouTube Shorts and they'd watch 100 YouTube Shorts and then go to watch a longer video. The algorithm would recommend videos that were shorter because as far as it's concerned, why would you want to watch longer videos? So then they had to split out the decision making of the algorithm in relation to shorts versus longer videos. And that meant that people that watched certain short videos wouldn't then go on to watch any of your longer videos. So it didn't help your longer videos to get any type of traction. This also meant that a lot of people lost a lot of their audience in relation to their longer videos because they'd start watching their shorts. So then more recently, YouTube decided that they would integrate, they'd put a link in the YouTube Shorts that would then allow people to access the longer version of the video. The problem with that is that only people with an iPhone can either make those shorts from their long videos, or they'd only have the option of 15 seconds of a clip. So that's not equal, that's not very balanced. And who knows the way that other things that are coming along are going to impact the algorithm in the future. For example, there's a big push right now to change the definition of a child from that 13 years to 16 years. So that means that the audience from 13 to 16 will also be lost, and any videos that you have currently that might be aimed more for that age range will now be inappropriate and COPPA non-compliant. So who knows where this is really going to go? I think that there's three options. Either one, YouTube will have to sacrifice some of their time and have more staff in order to have more human interaction and allow for more human control of what is allowed and not allowed. Or two, YouTube continues to let the algorithm take over YouTube and eventually the world. Or three, we'll have to send back a Terminator to turn off Skynet. Which do you think is most likely? Let us know in the comments below. Also, check out the types of videos that we typically make. Be sure to subscribe and click that reminder bell so you know when new videos come out. And stay tuned for more from your Geek Fix.